Welcome back to another episode of the Next Is Now podcast. This is Max Feldman. Today we've got a fun one coming your way. Episode one of what might become a little bit of a series here. So shortly, I'm gonna have Will Riley, our third overall prospect in the class of 2025 currently. He'll be hopping on. We're gonna be talking about some film, talk about his game, talk about his development over the last years, some next steps that he thinks he needs to keep improving on, and a whole lot more. Should be fun. Thank you for tuning in. Let's get right into it. Will, welcome on. Appreciate you taking some time. I know it's a busy time of the year in terms of events, visits, all that right now. But before we dive into some film, talk some more about your game, your development, wanted to zoom out a little bit. So for people who may not know you as well, tell me your basketball story. Where are you from? When did you start playing? What's the path been to get where you are now?
So thank you for having me first. And first thing, I started playing basketball when I was in grade 5, and I grew up in Kitchener, Ontario, Canada. It's been like a long journey for me, as of developing, you know, different coaches, different teams. I started off playing with a team in Kitchener called the KW Vipers. I stayed there for a while till grade 8. Then I switched to another team for a year. And then I went to the Phelps School, but after I went to three different high schools before the Phelps School. So I've been to 4 different high schools in total. So that's a lot of like switching friends and people and moving in different places. So yeah, when I went to the Phelps School, I met a lot of new guys, a lot of new people that influenced me well in my life, and hoping to make like term connections in the future, like I did at Phelps. So yeah, I've been playing basketball for a pretty long time. I have history in high jump,
Yeah.
which I did for a while, and unfortunately had to quit that to play basketball because I love basketball way more, and it just the times wouldn't match up, so I quit that. Yeah,
Right. We'll talk more about your athleticism when we get into the film, but I'm sure the high jumping stuff will definitely come up.
for
Um,
sure.
but yeah, so now more so on the floor. For people who haven't seen you play as much, how would you describe yourself as a player?
I'd say I'm a very versatile. I'd put myself in the guard standpoint. Like I'd say like I'm a 1-2 or even like a 3. Uh, Tall, 6'9". I can play make, shoot, attack, play defense, rebound. So very versatile, and I'm very coachable. Uh, Oftentimes, like if a coach is telling me what to do, I'll do it and implement it like later on, and it always just plays in my head like different things that different coaches tell me. So it definitely helped me develop a lot being coachable.
No doubt. Yeah, we'll talk definitely some more about those things because those are some things that definitely shine through in your game as well. So getting into the film here, we're gonna look at a bunch of areas of your game, but before I wanted to just pull up some of my favorite plays of yours from this summer, just through the film. Obviously, this is going to be only EYBL film. With you play Canada, you guys are 9-6. You're putting up 22 points a game, one of the top scorers in the EYBL. You guys are headed down to Peach Jam just a few weeks from now. So yeah, to start, some of my favorite plays. And I'm going to ask you about this a bunch because it comes out a bunch, but it feels like you love rejecting these ball screens. I don't know if you remember this play, but
Bro.
what did you see here? I can pause it here. But what did you see here on this play?
Yeah, just pause it like right there at the when I'm about to do the hezzy, like right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there. I could see that one of my teammates, he's about to fake the screen and set it on the other side. So he's gonna set it on the left side. So that means his man's gonna shift over. So I know he's about to shift over, and then I'm gonna have that whole area to attack.
Yep. And you can see they don't have a ton of size on the back line. You got all of the paint to attack. So
Yeah.
that's a big time play, and you can see the high jumping right there for sure. This is a big part of your game. Wanted to ask you about it. This is probably like a play that you don't really remember so much, but deceleration on your drives is a huge part of your game. Obviously, you pick up the loose ball here after a turnover. And I don't know if you've seen much Kyle Anderson before, but this is like slow-mo Kyle Anderson level deceleration to get to your spot. Obviously, it's a fast break and everyone's like kind of on the sprint. You slow all the way down to get that floater off. Obviously, the floater is a huge part of your game, but how do you utilize this deceleration on your drives? Like, has this always been natural for you?
Yeah, I like try and read what my defender's giving me, and he was leaving me like he kept shifting back. So when I was hitting the Euro step, I probably should have put it off 2 feet there, but when I was in mid Euro step, he was shifting back, so I just put it over him because he was a smaller defender.
Yeah. Any guys like that do this deceleration move that you like to study, or has this kind of just been something that's been a part of your game?
Shay does it a lot, and I like to watch him do it.
For sure. So getting into this one, this is actually similar, and you actually just talked about this, but right here on this drive, come ups at the ball screen, you reject it, you got a good lane to the rim. You're trying to get to that Euro, and he cuts you off a little bit. It's probably good defense, and you get all the way back to the layup. So just a big time play. Ability to stay on balance there is pretty high level. This one I love, and another just kind of sneaky play. I think it really showcases your feel for the game. You're coming up to set the ball screen. You kind of feel your guy jam into you, jam you up. Just the easy back cut here. So what did you see to make this play here?
Obviously I saw my defender over anticipate it, and then I planted my left foot into a jab, and then accelerated fast out of it, and I knew I was close to the rim and finished.
Yep. So now, outside of some of the top plays of my favorite plays, we're gonna get into some of your drives. I thought this has probably been the biggest step for you over the last year, is just your physicality on these drives. So right here, you got the switch, get into them, get to your little push shot. But this is something like, and I'm sure you know too, like a year ago, this wasn't something that you were doing super consistently. And you still have moments where you kind of shy away, but the physicality on these drives is pretty high level. So what's gone into that?
Honestly, I've just learned that I'm gonna take like the most efficient shots in certain scenarios. And before, I feel like I didn't have that, like that physicality level that I have now. Like I've just been training a lot, working on that throughout the last year or so, and it's definitely helped me with that, and driving to the basket with my with my pace thing that you were talking about earlier definitely helps, because obviously I can like shoot the ball, so my defense is always on their toes when I'm driving now, so it's great.
Yep. Few more that really caught my eye in terms of just like your creativity and your patience. It kind of always feels like even though you're still getting stronger, you're still building up your body, you've always kind of been comfortable playing in traffic. Like here, most guys are kind of gonna freak out, probably wind up with a turnover or just kind of kick it out. But you're able to kind of handle this, step through, and you get an easy look at the rim. Has this been something like that you're always comfortable doing?
Yeah, I feel like I'm pretty good at like protecting the ball, and like not a lot of guys can like take from me when I have it, because I feel like I have a little bit of like hand-eye coordination. It might have something to do with that, and I have pretty good hand-eye coordination. Because like I just know when I get to that spot, I'm either gonna hit a cutter, hit a wing, like on the wing or a corner, or I could step through to a layup, because that's like a deadly spot to let your man get to. So I know I have something, and a turnover is just not the option.
Totally. Like here, they throw it. We're going to get into like some of the defenders that teams throw at you, everything like that, some of these coverages. But here, they got a smaller guard on you. He's trying to ice the ball screen, get you baseline. He gets you baseline. It's really good defense, honestly, and they got recovery ready, but you kind of just hold up and spend enough time in that pocket, footwork to get through there. And it's something that you do a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's see. Yeah, this is another similar one. It was one of the ones before, just deceleration. Most of the guards are kind of going to gather and go into their layup a little bit further from the rim, but you're able to kind of keep your balance even as a bigger guy and get all the way to the rim to finish through that contact, which definitely has been huge for you. Next, we've talked about it a bunch just behind the scenes in terms of like our scouting stuff, but it feels like between Phelps, between you play, like so many of these teams throw crazy different coverage at you. They're throwing literally every different ball screen coverage at you. They're throwing double, triple teams, and you've seen it a ton over the last year. And I think obviously you're going to have games where you have some turnovers because of that as you learn. But I think you've developed a ton because of it. And this is a good example just in terms of your ability to manipulate these coverages. So tell me what you see on this ball screen read. Obviously, a really high level pass on the money, really accurate to your shooter. But what are your reads here coming off this ball screen?
So basically that team was throwing like a high hedge at me all game. So I knew if I dragged out the big, he wouldn't have time to recover on his man. So then I would drag the help side, and I knew I had that pass. I killed them with that all game because I would drag out the big, and they wouldn't know what to do. They get stuck, and as soon as the big left, I'd either drive or hit the corner.
Yeah. Yeah, we see it a lot. There's a few more here. This is another good example. We're going to talk some more about the hedges and what you do against them because there's a ton of you obviously have hedges and blitzes thrown at you a ton, and there's some things that you like to obviously do from those. But just another one of these ball screen reads I wanted to talk about, and it's a slight detail, but they got Christian Gerdak in their drop here, dropping back to the rim. You just have a very, very slight look at the off-ball guy in the corner, and it kind of opens up Spencer Aarons here. But what did you see here? You can see number one here on takeover.
Yeah, we ran that play over and over again that game. I don't know if you watched that game, but we ran that play a lot because they were kind of playing it weird. Like they would sometimes they would hedge and help, sometimes they wouldn't. So right there, it was all about reads. And number one, I had to wait a second for him because then he would think I would skip it over. So I had to wait an extra second.
You can see yourself look at him in the middle of the drive, and then you know exactly where it's going, so you're able to find that. Obviously,
I use my eyes to manipulate. I looked at his man through the defender, and
yeah. So getting into some ball screen reps here. First, we'll start with some hedges, and so all of these teams are kind of. It feels like these teams throw multiple different coverages at you each game. But I would say. And you've developed a ton with it over the last year, but what ball screen coverage as a ball handler do you feel most comfortable attacking? Like when are you most aggressive?
Drop, for sure.
And I think another thing too, like your decisiveness, no matter what's thrown your way, has grown a ton. So what's kind of gone into that outside of just reps and reps and reps?
Just a bunch of reps have definitely helped me with that. And working with higher up guys, and know those guys who've been there and they've known like what all the types of defenses there is that you could play on a ball screen, and that's definitely helped.
Yeah, so you do it here, and you were talking about it before, but I think just watching the film, one of your favorite things to do, and there's a really good highlight coming too of it, where you like to drag out these hedges and kind of just beat the guy. You like to beat the guy to the opposite sideline to get all the way downhill because you know they're out behind it. So has that been something like when you know that coverage is coming, you're always trying to do that, or just kind of just depends on your feel for the game?
It depends on how the defense is playing me. Like I'm just taking what the defense gives me. There, when they throw a hedge, I stall it out and wait for the big to get back, and if he doesn't get back, I'll blow by the big.
Yeah, definitely do a very good job keeping your dribble alive here. And like, here's one, Jamarius Davis-Fleming is a pretty mobile big guy. He's able to actually contain you, but then he gives up too much space. You're able to get downhill all the way to the rim. Easy look at the rim.
Yeah.
Another one here, this is expressions game that you were talking about where you kind of head your way in ball screens. Guy sticks with you, but they don't do a great job off ball. You're able to fire big guy. Easy look at the rim. A few more just hedge looks here. And blitzes as well. Yeah, this is the one I was talking about. So when the big comes all the way out, especially a big that might be a little bit slower, you're always trying to get all the way around this, and then you got an easy lob at the rim. And there's been a lot of looks like this with this 𝘖play team. Obviously, you got Spencer Aarons shooting it pretty well, but you also have a ton of athletes around you that I think have been huge for you just in terms of making plays at the rim. Yeah. So this is one of the last hedge ones. Wanted to ask you this one against a Team Hero team that plays pretty well together. They know each other. They've been playing for a long time. But what did you see on this ball screen? Might have just like been a rust one. But what did you see here that led to the turnover for you?
Uh, One second, let me watch it.
I guess what would you have done differently?
Um, I probably would have kept my dribble alive a little longer. I picked up my dribble, jump pass, but yeah, I just threw it too high.
Mhm. So,
Or or I was waiting for the corner guy to cut.
mhm. So our next one here is going to be switches. And I think this hasn't been something that I think all too many teams have done. But I think it is something that you've fared well against here. So in this next one, let's see. Yeah, you get the switch out in the corner, kind of a scramble off an offensive rebound. You got a big on you. Just a slight hesitation. Obviously, we've seen something that's been a huge part of your game. But um, in terms of like pace, ball handlers, who are some of your favorite guys to watch who kind of implement these different little things that help you kind of create space?
Definitely guys like Luca or Shea, for sure. They play with an amazing pace. Luca doesn't even have to go fast, and he still manages the way to get open.
Yeah. So when you see a switch, obviously it depends on the matchup, but what's kind of your go-to depending on the matchup? Like, what's your first read when you get a switch?
Uh, Depending on the best defender is probably going to be guarding me. So if I get switched, then I'll get into another ball screen with another guy, or I'll just play off that if it's a big.
So our next one, ball screen routes, is just going to be simply going over, kind of playing you straight up. And as you mentioned, this is something that you feel pretty comfortable. You guys run this a ton, just getting you off motion to get into a ball screen, going back downhill. Um, Break down your reads here, coming off just like super straight up ball screen with going over.
Usually when the defense goes over, I'm gonna drive it because my defender's always gonna be on my hip, and then I could, use my hesitations and or hit weak side like that because the second guy in line is gonna probably shift up to the roller and then at the weak side cut.
Hmm. Yeah, so I think this is something that we'll talk about, and you can see just from the film. You get downhill so much and apply so much pressure on the defenses that if you see this low man here in the back left corner, he's already rotating, and you like don't like the big is in good position to defend you and pick you up, but you apply so much pressure that he's already rotating. You got a wide open lob.
Yeah.
Right here, another one. I got three in a row because I kept seeing this. Means first here is just pre-rotating. Like you don't even beat the guard yet, really. And the backline guy's already turned his head. You got a wide open lob. It happens a ton. And I think right here, team takeover team that's pretty disciplined defensively. You can see Jordan Smith Jr. already rotating because you get downhill so much. And you got the wide open lob. I would say in terms of how have your reps at Phelps kind of helped you? What did you learn from facing so many different coverages to where it's like now you're just always in attack mode and you can see how much like it just changes the game plan for the opposing team. So what's gone into that from a mentality standpoint?
Yeah. Just, wait, what was it? What was the original question?
Yeah, so just from your time at Phelps, like from everything that you've learned, your reps throughout this year, how has that just led to like more aggression, more decisiveness, just knowing how you can completely shift the defense by being consistent with it?
Yeah, I'd say definitely being put in like a bunch of different scenarios because at Phelps, I would play a lot of the one, I would play a lot of two, I'd even play a lot of three. So being put in like scenarios that I originally wouldn't be comfortable with definitely helped me improve a lot in my game and physicality because I never was used to, bringing up the ball every possession. But now I got a feel for that and getting now in the EYBL, obviously I'm seeing a lot of double teams and boxing ones and stuff like that. So it definitely helps me, improve on, you know, being physical. Because if I'm not physical, then I would just shy away and you wouldn't see me for the whole game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of weight on your shoulder, but as you can see from the numbers, you've stepped up game in, game out. And you've gotten to the line a ton, which is something that we'll probably talk a little bit more about. But we talked about Spencer Aarons for a second. Here's another one. You said you guys run this a lot. He's been shooting the ball well. He's had a really nice spring, summer as well. What is having a stretch big like this open up for you?
Oh, without him, the court would be shrunk. He definitely that top spot. They don't know how to guard that, especially if I hit him. I can go back door off of him. I could get a hand off of him, and having him as a screener and pick and pop him. It's very useful because guys don't know what to do.
No doubt. Next one here, last of these balls, this group of ball screen reps. It's pretty solid defense here. This is something you guys run a ton from the slot area, but what do you see here? If there's anything, what would you do differently?
Uh, hit the weak side, sure.
Just make the skip pass.
Yeah, because the defense shifted. Yeah, hit the weak side.
Yeah, because as you've talked about, this is probably the exact shot that the defense wants you to take here. So to it's out. But something like we'll talk more about shot selection, but it's something that's improved a ton for you. Yep, another one just in drop coverage, just manipulating that backline guy. This is probably why it's your favorite coverage, because you're just faster than most of these guys, able to beat him to the rim. Have there been any guys in UIBL that have been specific challenges for you in terms of big guys?
Big guy? Not really, no.
Okay. Yeah, another one where you snake the ball screen. They actually do a pretty solid job, but just rotate a little bit too quick. Good backside screen. Easy look at the rim for the three there. I think this is what makes you one of the more rare, intriguing guys in the class, and in all of our stuff is just your ability to make plays off the live dribble, and we see it with you a ton, and I think it falls under the radar a little bit, but you do a great job just keeping your head up, and it's something that's really simple. But has that been something that you've learned? Has it always been natural for you to make plays like this? Because most guys are trying to get in our ball screen, come off this, but if your head isn't up, you don't see him wide open at the rim.
Yeah, definitely they're just like playing with other guards. Like everybody hates playing with the guard that just dribbles with their head down. It's the worst thing ever. So I definitely had to just implement that into my game.
Another last one of these ball screens, one that wound up in a turnover. What would you have done differently on this rep here?
I probably would have had Spencer push down to give me more space coming off that screen and hit the roll, and then he'd have to make a decision either go up for the layup or hit Tristan in the corner.
Yeah. Okay. Your drives, these are without ball screens coming off a standstill. Something that I know I've talked about just a lot. A big part of your evaluation is just like how unique and like kind of off kilter your pace is at 6'9". Has that been something that's just kind of always been natural for you? Like, have you kind of always just had a grip on pace like that?
No, that's definitely like the work I've put in, but yeah, nah, the pace thing is definitely just because of the work, but I've always feel like I've had a feel of like getting around guys, but never at this extent. But I still have a lot more to improve with that, and I've been improving on it a lot the last 2 weeks. So yeah.
What is, in terms of pace, like it's something that is different than just getting up, shooting reps. It's different than tightening your handle. What kind of goes into the work in terms of polishing up your pace?
A lot of film work. probably more film work than actual playing. But yeah, just watching guys do it and, just reading defenses and just stuff like that.
Yeah,
Working on your
this is a
handle quite a lot.
totally. This is a good example here of just like your pace kind of manipulating the back line where it's like if you stick on this singular pace that you're driving with, this is probably a turnover just because he's in the passing lane. But your last slow step here, just to slow down, kind of makes the defender overcommit, and then all of a sudden you got an easy look at the round.
Yeah.
So you're shooting, and we'll talk a few different parts of it, but wanted to ask, when you're shooting the ball at a high level, what are some things that you're doing, whether it's mechanically, whether it's mentally? What are some things that are kind of going right for you when you're shooting the ball well?
It's one rhythm for me when I'm shooting it well. Like I don't have a hitch at all. I tend to miss a lot when I get a hitch. I don't know why I do it sometimes.
Yeah, I think one of the big things that I noticed is just like the energy transfer in your body. Like sometimes it'll just be your upper body kind of going through the motion, but when it's your full body and the energy transfer is really smooth, more times than not, it feels like it's going in. Any shooters that you like to study at the higher levels?
Um, I not really shooters that I study. I just watch how players do stuff. I don't really want to make too many adjustments on my jump shot.
Mm-hmm. Coming off movement, this is something you guys run a ton off of, like baseline out of bounds. Have you always been comfortable with this, or has this been something just reps wise? It feels like you took a lot of shots like that in high school too.
Yeah, I love that shot for some reason. It just feels good for me.
Coming to your right,
Yeah.
gotcha. Do you feel more comfortable right now, shooting off the catch or off the dribble, you think?
Uh, right now, as of today,
Yeah.
the dribble, but back then, probably the catch.
Hmm. Here's another one, just coming off movement, going the other way. Um, what went wrong here? Obviously, it's a really high level of like this is a very tough shot. But what would you have done differently? Like, what's your tweak here on this look?
Um, Honestly, I just think I just missed that. 'Cause I work on that shot all day, every day. That exact shot coming off that, getting a pass,
Mhm.
right, left. I work on that all the time. Just I don't know. I think I just missed that one.
Yeah, yeah. Here it is, right there. Similar type look. Definitely something I just run a lot. Getting into these, I think this part of your game makes you super unique in terms of just your size. Your ability to create is your transition game after this shooting wraps up here. But what's your mindset in transition? You grab off the glass. Are you always looking to push and like
Yeah.
you love playing space, playing in transition?
Yeah, I love playing in transition because there's so many reads, so many options. It's my favorite thing. Just
Yeah.
like just being able to be creative in that scenario. Just there's so many different things you can do in transition.
Yeah, your you play team too, I think even takes it to another level because you got guys that can fly on every side of you.
Yeah, exactly.
What's it been like playing with a group like that where you just have so many athletes next to you?
It's a luxury being able to play with guys that can jump and shoot. It's a pastor's dream.
They throwing a lot of lobs for sure. But yes, let's go to these here. I would say also in transition, you talked about a little bit in terms of like your flair and your creativity, but how do you balance making the right basketball play, but also showcasing like your ability, your talent level?
Um, just I think it just has something to do with like focusing on what your defense is giving you and not doing too much,
Mm-hmm.
which I feel like I used to do a lot, like just trying to force it. But now I just, you just got to give what the defense gives you and not try and force anything because that'll make you look stupid.
Yep. Nice creative play here where you can just kind of feel the guy sliding into his zone. Opens up an easy three for you. Um, Obviously, ton of transition stuff. You guys have been awesome in transition all spring. But I wanted to get into some. This is one of the plays from your 42-point game that I thought was pretty wild. Just one of those plays where it's clear everything was going right for you. Not sure how you finished on this one. Well,
I got
what do you remember from that one?
I got fouled, but you know that was, like you said, everything was going right, but I lost the ball. I was trying to dunk it, and I just lost it.
Yeah. One thing I noted going through your film is it feels like you played a ton on ball with Phelps, but he can play. I think playing off ball, coming off these like screens, coming off pin downs, coming off movement is something like long term. I think you could be a really, really high level with. Um, what do you like? What have you learned? Is that something coaches have talked about you with? Like, is that something you feel the same way about?
Yeah, no, that's a lot of people say that's like one of my best traits, being able to move off the ball. Because what makes like an elite player at the next level is how you play off the ball, and are you elite at affecting the game without having the ball in your hand.
Hmm. Yeah, I think you do such a good job with your pace of just like getting guys off balance. And I think the natural idea with playing off movement and coming around screens is to already have the defense tilted, like off balance. So combining those two things, like I think there's a ton more upside just as you get stronger. Like actions like this, I don't know how much you guys run this, but something like this long term is just like really high level because there's not a great answer for defenses. Do you guys run this a lot?
Yeah, yeah, we run that a good amount.
Um, but yeah, I think just at the college level, long term in the NBA potentially, I think it's something that just as you keep growing, I think it could be something where you can really unlock another level like this coming off movement where the defense is already tilted, the guy's kind of off balance. Easy move for you to kind of get all the way to the rim, draw a foul.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna before we close out here, wanted to talk about like just your areas of growth in terms of shot selection. What's kind of grown for you? What's kind of the next step, do you think?
Uh, I'd say the next step would be just being able to, create more shots for my team, like better shots. But yeah, definitely that, and adding some strength
Yeah, that
would be a big help.
was one of the big things I noticed is just like playing off 2 feet more and just
Yeah,
as you get stronger.
yeah, definitely playing off 2 feet more.
Has that been something just I've talked to you a lot about?
Yeah, playing off 2 feet is one of the ones that I've been working on a lot.
Mm. I think also this is a good example of not a great example, but you do it a ton where I feel like some of these you settle for your little floater push shot where it could probably be a layup or a feared three throw or just a kick out. Has that been another thing that's been a focus?
Uh Honestly, yeah, I just been sticking with my floater a lot because I feel like I was gifted with like a unique touch.
Yeah.
And yeah, nah, but I definitely should go to the rim a lot more and draw a lot more fouls and be more aggressive when I'm going to the rim.
Yeah. This last one I got for you is the Soldiers matchup with AJ DeBots and Tyron Stokes. What type of guys are this, and what types of guys are they, and what do you remember about this matchup?
It was a great matchup. Yeah, it was a great matchup. We came ready, but we just didn't get the job done. Unfortunately, it was hard. I was playing through pretty banged up, but I got through it, and yeah, it was all right.
Yeah. Maybe you guys will get the chance to rematch here next month in Augusta. But to wrap up, I wanted to ask, appreciate you breaking down the film, but you talked about it a little bit. You jumped to third in the class for us and have asserted yourself. Definitely is one of the best upcoming prospects. But a big piece of moving up levels is learning how to like play different roles, sacrificing at times. So what's kind of your mindset in terms of adjusting to different duties at higher levels just because you've handled the ball so much over the last year?
The adjustment's been great. You know, it's got me to become the player I am today. And, you know, I feel like without adjusting to playing all these different positions, playing with different people, I wouldn't be the player I am today. So I'm thankful for that.
Yep, no doubt. Will, thank you again for the time. I appreciate you hopping on here, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.